So let's talk about the scoring just a little bit. On the current version of the SAT, the lowest score you can get on the SAT is a 600, where the lowest score on each section, like the reading, writing, and math section, is 200. So 200, 200, 200 adds up to 600 for the lowest possible score on the current SAT. That means if you were to walk into the examination room, spell your name correctly on the form, and just sleep through the whole test, chances are you'll probably get something close to a 600. And if you answer everything correctly, with the exception of maybe, a few questions, maybe like 3 or 4 questions, depending on which administration you're taking, you'll get a 2400. So that's the current SAT. The new SAT, because they're dropping a section, the lowest score you can get is a 400, and the highest score you can get is a 1600. So, whenever someone tells you, hey, I got such and such score on the SAT, be sure to ask them to specify which SAT they took. Let's take a look at an example here. Let's suppose you scored a 1500, or someone scored a 1500 on the SAT. On the current version of the SAT, a 1500 is right at average. So a 1500 on the current SAT is average, but a 1500 on the new SAT is spectacular because it's at the higher end of that scoring scale. So be sure you ask them to specify which SAT they took. But as you can see, the scoring scale isn't necessarily changing. It's just because they're dropping one big section, you're also losing the possibility of an additional 800. So the score on the new SAT will be determined on a scale of 400 to 1600. It's reverting back to the old scale that used to exist before the exam changed to the current version of the exam.